G'day, Stace from the Joy Dispensary here. Today I'm going to show you a demonstration of a major pentatonic solo game of Oom-Pah. So now I've decided I want to play a scales game. So I'm going to play a major pentatonic, starting with E as my root note. So firstly, I grab my key learning table and I find my E as my root note. Then I find my major scale stencil and I find the major pentatonic over here, and I line up the major pentatonic with my E. You can see here I've got my E as my root note, and it tells me for this game I'll be playing E, F sharp, G sharp, B and C sharp. Now I'm going to go to this deck and I'm going to get those cards out. So make sure you have all of your cards in your deck, all of the sharps and flats as well as the whole notes, not just the ones that you're playing in the middle here. The first thing I do is I place 4 cards face up in front of me. These will become my arranged columns and they will go in descending chromatic order. The next thing I do is I place 8 cards to the side, to the right hand side, and these are my score stack. Only the top card is live. I can't access any of the cards underneath, just the top card. The remaining cards I hold in my other hand face down. This is my impro deck and I'll use that later. So the first thing I do is I look for an E as I'm building the E major pentatonic. So in the middle here I'm going to do an E followed by an F sharp, followed by a G sharp, a B and then a C sharp. So the only way I can start this composed stack in the middle is if I have an E. So I check to see if I have an E. I don't. But what I do have is a D and I have a D sharp. So these have to go in descending chromatic order. What does that mean? Well, I consult my descending chromatic keyboard and I have a look. This is basically a ladder that goes backwards or down, which is just going down your keyboard on your piano. So here I look and I find my D sharp and I see that the one underneath that is a D. So I come back to my cards and I find my D and I place it on top of my D sharp. I now have a gap here. So from my score stack over on the right hand side, I take the top card and I place it here. I then check to see if there's any cards I can arrange to move around. I have an A and I have an A sharp. Again, I consult here, I see my A sharp, underneath that is an A. So that means that I can take the A that's on the top of my score stack over here and place it on top of this A sharp in my arrange column. I then check to see again what's on top of my score stack. If I'm playing competitively against somebody else, I've got to get rid of these as quickly as possible. So this is my main focus. I have a D flat here. So this D flat can go on top of the D. We're going in descending chromatic order. I'm still looking for an E to start my E major pentatonic scale, and I don't have anything. There's no other cards I can move around because I've consulted this, and I can see that I can't do anything else. This is where I go to my impro deck. Now what I do is I take 3 cards, and then I turn over to just the top card is visible. This is now my impro stack. I can use only this top card, and I look to see if I can play it anywhere. And in this case, I can. On top of that C, I know goes a B. Why? Because I check here. Now this is one of these weird ones in music theory where there's no black note in the piano, so there's no sharp or flat between B and C. You'll also notice there's none between E and F. So I can take my B from the top here of my score stack and place it on top of that C. I now have an F sharp and a G flat. There's nothing I can do there. And I have an A exposed here, but there's also nothing I can do there. or is there? Here, I have a B flat. Now that B flat can go on top of the B. You might be wondering, if you're new to music theory, why these cards have an A sharp and a B flat. Let's just check over here and we can see that that's actually the same note or black note on a piano. It's just called something different. It's higher than an A, so it's an A sharp, and it's lower than a B, so it's a B flat. This is called an enharmonic. There's nothing else I can do, so I come back to my impro deck, 1, 2, 3, play the top card. Oh, I didn't move that over, I got too excited explaining enharmonics. Let's move that over there, and we've got this gap again. So the most important thing is you might go, I could move this one, or I could move this one. Always choose to move this one first. Right? Why? Because you want to get rid of these cards as quickly as possible. Strategically, if it made sense to move that, I might have, but it didn't make any sense. So now that F can go on top of that F sharp, or it couldn't. See what I did then? This F sharp is really important, is it? Why did we make that noise? That is what I'm going to do. Liv's tricking me. I've got a gap here, and I'm looking for an E. Do I have an E anywhere? No, I don't. I've got a G sharp or an A flat. That will go down here, because it's lower than that A. I still have another gap here. So, here's some strategy. If I wanted to play it, is I could move this here, and move that C on top of there, just because I can. Now, I do have an E. How exciting. This is great news. Woohoo! Here's an E. This E is going to go in the middle, and it starts my central composed stack, which is the E major pentatonic. Ah, no! I've covered this up! That's why Liv was making that noise, but I've done it already. So, what can I do instead? I can move this B on top of the C. Is there anything else that I can do to help get me an F sharp there? Not at this stage. So I come back to here, 1, 2, 3, just play the top card. I have a C. Is there anything I can do with that? No. 1, 2, 3, top card. F sharp! Woohoo! I take my F sharp and I place it on top here. Now I'm looking for a G sharp, because that's the next in the sequence of the major pentatonic. I have one down here. Yay! I now place this on top of here. Now I'm looking for the B. Great, I've got things happening. Here's my B. It goes on top. The next card in this sequence will be a C sharp. Now you can see I have a C sharp here, but I can't access it. Only the top card's alive, so that's stuck, and that one here is stuck as well. So now I'm going to have to use some strategy. So I'm going to come back to my impro deck. 1, 2, 3, turn over the top card. I have a G. Is there anything I can do with that? No. 1, 2, 3. I've got a G sharp. Is there anything I can do with that? I've got an A flat. I can put that on top of there. Would I choose to do that? Probably at this stage. So I place that there, because I didn't know what card was going to be under there. Yeah. Nothing. 1, 2, 3. Remember, I'm looking for a C sharp. I've got a B here. I can move my B on top of there. I have a D. There's nothing I can do with that. No. 1, 2, 3. I have an E. So here's where we get some options. We can either choose to play multiple composed stacks in the middle, or we can choose to play one at a time. I like to play multiples because it keeps the game exciting. So what I can do is place my E there, but I can actually use strategy. Okay, here's a tricky thing, right? Instead of placing it there, I'm going to place it here, because I've seen I have an E flat here. So what I can do is I can move this whole column. I have to take all of it at once and place it over here, which means I now have a gap here. I'm trying to find a C sharp. So what I can do from here is take these and place that in the spare column, and now I've exposed that C sharp. So I can take that and close that one compose stack. So now I'm looking for an E again to get things started. I have already blocked that, but that's okay, and I've only got one card over here. So I come back, I look again to see what I can do. I've got a D flat here and a D. So I pick up that whole thing, place it there. I've got one left. Look what's about to happen. I'm about to empty my score stack. I place it there. When that's done, this round's over and I get to yell, Oom-Pah!